must constantly look at things in a different way.
The Healthcare Education Transformation Podcast was created by two physical therapists out of the desire to learn more about the different educational roles in physical therapy and healthcare, and how healthcare education works by talking with educational leaders and people with different perspectives within physical therapy and across interdisciplinary lines on how education can be improved to disrupt the status quo of healthcare education. This is our journey, and thanks for listening. Are you a third-year physical therapy student that excels on tests when you have study guides, checklists, and deadlines? With all of the information available about how to prepare for the NPTE, it's easy to get disorganized and not feel prepared going into the big day. NPTE Prep Success is an online course that provides PT students easy-to-use study guides and step-by-step guidance through the NPTE preparation. To learn more, visit kylericeprep.com. Thank you again all for your continued support. And now for the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Healthcare Education Transformation Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. F. Scott Field, and I've got a guest on today who we've been excited to talk to for a couple of years now, Nick Adkins. Nick, you've been involved in a lot of cool things lately. PinkSocks movement is the big one, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But if you don't mind, could you tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what your educational background was that led you to where you're at today?
Sure. Hey, Scott, thanks for having me on the podcast today. Yeah, well, once upon a time, I was a healthcare executive in Nashville, Tennessee. I got my MBA at Belmont and went undergrad at University of Southern Miss. That was a long time ago, I'm going to tell you. And in 2010, I went to this thing called Burning Man for my first time, which is a big event out in the desert, Nevada, and decided that I was done being a healthcare executive. So I moved to Portland, Oregon, which is where I am now. And along the way, was involved in a startup out here that created some really cool technology for secure asynchronous video file management. And I guess it was 2015 at HIMSS. I was in Chicago that year. Andrew Richards and I went and started giving away these pink socks with mustaches on them just for fun, just to create some connections. And, we had no idea then that Pink Socks would turn into a global movement. It's now a nonprofit, a 501c3, and it's all about spreading love and kindness all around the world. We've over 100,000 pairs of pink socks have been gifted. And it's just, it's something fun to be involved with. I'm grateful to see what it's become and how it continues to grow, even outside of healthcare. So it's like I say, it's fun.
Yeah, you were actually the one that gifted me my first pair of pink socks. You sent a pair through the mail. I was somewhere in the middle of my physical therapy journey. And, I wore them quite often, especially at conferences, because they're, it's a conversation starter for sure. People like to hear more about it. And then, I pretty quickly wore a hole in them because I was wearing them so much. I enjoyed them a lot, right? It was a cool sock, right? But since then, I've been gifted another pair by Mark Milligan, Jerry Durham. Jerry Durham gave me a pair, just a couple of really big names in the world of physical therapy. And I appreciate those guys for it. I'm probably due for a new pair pretty soon, actually, now that I think about it. They're getting a little thin. So I'll have to order me up a bunch.
I'm going to send you some more. I'm going to send you some to wear and some to gift, because It's all built on this ethos of gifting. Like you say, your pink socks have come to you via others because they gifted them to you. And the movement is really built on this ethos of gifting. And there's a really cool book by a woman named Robin Wall Kimmerer. The name of the book is called Braiding Sweetgrass. And there's a line in the book that she says the difference between commodity exchange and gifting is that gifting creates a relationship bond. And that's right. Yeah. So the pink socks, they're meant for you to wear. And when someone says, "Hey, I like those are cool, those are fun, those are funky," that's the universe tapping you on the shoulder saying, "Well, let's stop, get off our phones, stay on the train and the stop, say, what's your name?" I'm Scott. And say, "Wait a minute, I've actually got something in my bag for you." And then you gift them their pink socks and keep that gifting ethos going forward. And really, the gift that you're going to create each time you wear your pink socks are the smiles that you're going to create. And so that's the gift that keeps on giving. And if you go to the website, if your listeners go to the PinkSocks website, it's pinksocks.life. It's very simple. You can see how to order socks to gift. We send them out by the dozens. So when you go there, you'll be ordering socks by the dozens, and we provide them pass through at our cost. And we like to ask that people donate. That's how we keep this going. Like I say, we're a 501c3 charitable organization, so all your donations, you can talk to your accountant what happens to those, but it's a good thing. And you help us spread love and kindness all around the world. And one of the interesting, things that's just really been mind blowing and it's really blown my heart wide open each time I think about it is PinkSocks is now involved in 30 different schools in 9 different states around the country where teachers are using PinkSocks as part of their teaching kindness curricula, pre-K all the way through high school. And you see the kids wearing their pink socks and, learning, and they wear them back to school one day a week. Each school picks a day of the week that they all wear their pink socks back to school, and teachers, cafeteria workers, all the kids. And the teachers have a day in that class's schedule, a day scheduled where they teach kids about empathy and kindness and diversity and inclusion and not bullying each other, all the stuff that grows good humans. So it's like I say, grateful to see how that's happened. If you'll on the website, pinksocks.life, there's the last couple of blog entries will go into detail about how we got into the schools. And but yeah, and also on the website, if you scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, there's a TED Talk I did in San Francisco in 2017 that kind of give you the whole backstory on how this came to be and my journey to Burning Man and the whole ethos of gifting. I don't remember which pair of pink socks you first got, but the original, we call those the OGs. Were just mustaches only.
Yep, that's what I had, the mustache only.
Yeah, the OGs. And so in 2017, when we did the TED Talk, we added the puzzle pieces. So the pink socks since 2017 to now have the mustaches as well as puzzle pieces. And the puzzle pieces represent the power of connection. Pink socks connecting us all around the world. And that's really, when we talk about all the stuff that's happening in healthcare and technology, it's a thing, right? We're swimming in connectivity, but a lot of times we're lacking connection. So true, authentic connection, ability to share space and listen to someone's heart speak and see the humanity in each other. So that's hopefully pink socks help you remember that that's really what it's about. It's about a connection, an authentic connection in real life, or maybe on Twitter, where you see someone and you celebrate the good things that they're doing in their world, in their life, and you help celebrate that. And there's so much opportunity on social media, any of the platforms, to say, hey, look at me, look how great I am. Yeah, okay. Pink Socks is an opportunity for you to say, hey, look what he's doing today, look what she's doing, look what they're doing, let's celebrate them. Yeah, it's an opportunity for you to get outside of yourself and recognize that there's a lot of people doing a lot of good things in the world. I mean, like you said, Jerry and Mark and on. And, it's just, the PT community is awesome. I'm a big fan of Get PT First. Sean
Yep.
Started that. Yeah, all you it just, I mean,
Yeah. It's amazing. Like, I've just transitioned into academia, right? So I'm teaching physical therapy students now, right? I'm on the other side of things.
right.
And I teach, a course, Intro to Physical Therapy, essentially, which is like, professionalism and communication, right? And so I think that empathy part is a big portion of it. So I'll have to see if I can work it into my curriculum as well. But
Yeah.
healthcare, like you said, in general, has been it's been a bumpy ride, especially the last couple of years with the pandemic, for sure. But can you tell us a little bit? Can you go down into just a little bit and touch on what made you kind of change directions and why you kind of left the healthcare executive position?
Well, that's a big question, and I don't know if I've got. I don't know if I have an adequate answer for that. I will tell you that, healthcare is especially at the macro level, it's really about money. Oftentimes what gets lost in that math is the humanity of it. And I tell you, I was in a four-wheeling accident I guess about 7 years ago. A friend and I were out here on the side of a mountain and flipped and rolled a four-wheeler, and I broke my shoulder, and I was in PT for about 1.5 years getting my shoulder back. And looking back on that 1.5 years of PT, what a lot of the magic was with my physical therapist was a lot of talking. I would lay there and talk while he would. Sometimes it felt like wasn't even doing anything other than just having his hands on my shoulder.
Yeah.
But I think there was so much therapy in me working through the trauma of the accident, the PTSD of the accident, and spending that time each week. In the beginning it was twice a week, just talking through the accident.
Yeah, there is a very therapeutic side to physical therapy, right? I mean,
it really is.
We go through a lot of that.
Yeah, just so it's such a relationship that if you go see the doctor, or they got to see so many patients in an hour. You don't really have time to tell your story, and that was just very valuable time that I would get to spend an hour just talking to my physical therapist. In retrospect, looking back and seeing how much mental health therapy I was getting in those sessions, I'm grateful. So.
Yeah, we definitely teach our students that a lot of times doctors are in and out in an average of 8 minutes to see a patient, and that's maybe once a year, maybe twice a year if they're lucky. If they're pretty healthy and nothing's really going on. Well, physical therapists, we get to see people for about 30 to 60 minutes a day, sometimes multiple days a week. So that is very valuable time to create those connections and those relationships, and build those bonds. And that's not even taking it to that next step, like you said, of hands-on therapy, right? We then start to put our hands on people, and you get that really close connection of touch and feeling as well.
Yeah.
So again, it's an amazing field. I'm blessed, I think, to have gotten into the field when I did, and it's opened a ton of opportunities for me, and I'm so thankful for that. But at the same time, it comes with some of the business sides of things, like you talked about, right? Healthcare is a business, and it's getting more and more so every day, and we're seeing Medicare cuts and reimbursement cuts, and it's almost making it not worth it for us to do our jobs as physical therapists. So I know we're trying to stay positive, and we're trying to educate our students as to like, hey, here's some of the bumpy waters you're going to have to navigate, but if you really care about it and you truly love the profession, there's ways to do it. You may have to think outside the box a little. You may have to, go an unconventional way about it, but it can be done, and I think that's the thing they have to notice, is that sometimes it's more than just clocking in and clocking out at 9 to 5 as a physical therapist. There's other ways to help people and to spread our knowledge and our skill sets, without having to do it under the umbrella of, say, a healthcare system or a hospital system. So,
my physical therapist I saw here in Portland was outside of the system. It was a husband and wife team. They're both physical therapists and have their own private practice, and made it work. I think they're thriving. So
yeah, it can be done. There are different ways to do it, and I think we just have to, at the very least, make people aware. And that's one thing I can say without a doubt, is that the Pink Socks movement has at least brought an awareness to this, loving, caring community, and this message of, just being kind and showing empathy. And that's why I've loved your journey. I've loved following everything that you're doing. There's a huge group in Austin that gets together and meets. I moved from Waco down to Wimberley now, just out in the hill country there. So I'm about 30 minutes from Austin and the campus where I teach at. And, I follow probably 5 or 10 of them on Twitter that are in Austin, and they meet up pretty frequently still. Yeah. So,
there's a lot of tribe there in Austin. In fact, on the website, PinkSocks.life, on the homepage, there's 2 videos. One at the bottom of the page is the TED Talk, and there was the first video you come to was actually in Austin, and that was at the Dell Med School. And we came in and gifted all the med students their pink socks and gave them a talk about empathy. And then we had a Pink Socks meetup that evening out at the Oasis at Lake Travis. Mm-hmm. So we said, well, what happens at a Pink Socks meetup? Well, if you go watch that video, you see it's a bunch of happy, smiley people who like to give hugs. So
yeah,
in the pre-pandemic world.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Well, Nick, can you tell us a little bit about the van and your travels and your journeys, and how this Pink Socks movement has kind of brought you across the country and back several times over?
Yeah, well, before the pandemic, it was around the world. I mean, literally, I'm hopefully that all comes back, but we've been fortunate enough to travel and speak at a lot of conferences around the world. In fact, I'm doing a recording right after this one for the Digital Health Conference that's happening in New Zealand, which was supposed to be in person, and it's now got postponed, a couple of years, and they said, well, finally we just have to do it virtually. And so I guess last February, it's past about a year ago, we got the van. And so if you on Instagram, we're PinkSocks.life, you can probably find the van there. And it's the message on the socks. The world is full of good. When you believe it, you see it. Keep doing that. It's got a big Love More logo on it. And so, well, if we're like, okay, if you can't fly right now and get around to especially the schools that were wanting to have these kindness pep rallies and roll out Pink Socks, well, let's just get a van and we'll go do that. So it's been fun. Every time I'm in the van, it's always a conversation starter, or get out of the parking lot or filling it up with diesel. Always somebody comes over and looks at it, and it used to go something like this. They'll look at it and they'll go, well, what's this about? And what does this mean? And I'll look at them and say, well, what? So point at it, and there it is, in big letters. I say, well, what does it mean to you? Yeah, because that's what's important. It's not really important how I interpret that message. What's important is how each of us interprets it. And so they'll tell me, well, I think it means that we just need to be kind to each other, or the world would be a better place if we loved each other more, or on and on and on, right? It's very similar answers, but I always get their answer and I'll say, that's exactly what it means. Yeah, right. And then I say, what's your name? That's boom. And that oftentimes, just like connections with your Pink Socks, that oftentimes leads into a story. Yeah. And they'll say, well, this is my name. And, and 30 minutes later, they've told you a story. And oftentimes it's a story of heartbreak and pain and loss. It's oftentimes I just lost my son to a drug overdose, or my wife just died from cancer, or on and on. And you just sit there and you hold space, and you be a kind human, and you be grateful that you saw that person that day, and that it's got everybody's got a story. All we have to do is stop and listen. And so the van has been a really good thing for me to slow down, to wait for each of those opportunities. And when I see them coming, I don't rush off and drive away. But yeah, and same thing with your socks, So it's just, when someone comments, don't just say thank you and keep walking. That's really your time to hold space and have a connection. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Nick, we've got one final question that we ask everybody here on the podcast. And I'm going to expand it a little for you because of your past and your experience. If you could change one aspect of higher education and or healthcare education, what aspect would you change, and how would you change it?
Well, I'd say it'd be free. That's what I'd say. I'd say that nobody comes out in debt. You shouldn't have to start off and digging yourself out of a hole. And I really, I don't care which side of politics you're on. It just doesn't make any sense to start out in the hole. And there's plenty of countries in the world that have figured out how to do this. And the fact that we haven't, well, like I say, we just have to figure that one out.
Yeah.
And if I've got to, all got to pay in a little more so that we all help each other, well, then that's worth it, right? Yeah. If I know I'm making the investment in you, so that you're making an investment in the community, that you're paying this back by providing service and healthcare for us. Well, yeah, of course. Let's get you through school.
Yeah,
we need you. It's you're the ROI, the return on investment is a no-brainer. I mean, but to force you to enter into a system where you're already in debt, it's not the way we need to do it.
Yeah, that's the number one most given answer on the show is cost, and that actually is what led me to write my book, PT Educator, Student Debt Eliminator, because I just felt like it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair for my family. It wasn't fair for, students coming out, especially physical therapists. The debt to income ratio is bad and getting worse. If you're graduating with $150,000, $200,000 worth of student loan debt and you're making $65,000, $75,000 a year starting out, like the numbers don't work, and that's going to affect a lot of life decisions down the line as far as where and when to start a family, to buy a house, to buy a car. All those things kind of get pushed off, and people don't realize that while they're in school taking on these enormous amounts of debt. So
right. Maybe there comes a time when we reframe the narrative, right? And so if we can see it that we're making, when we invest in someone, that we're getting the return on that. I mean, right now, it's just, it's broken.
Yep. Just another speed bump in the healthcare system. That's for sure.
Yeah. So we just need to keep the faith that something's going to change.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for your time. Like I said, I love the message and I love everything that you're doing. Where can people find you if they want to learn a little bit more about the Pink Socks movement? And, where can they find you on social media if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, so pinksocks.life is the website. And on Twitter, I'm Nick is NPDX, NICKIS, the letter N, PDX for Portland. That's probably the best way. And on Twitter, follow the hashtag PinkSocks, always one word, always plural. You can see what the tribe around the world is doing, celebrate them, give them some love, retweet what they're doing. And we'll love to gift you some socks. I'll follow up with you, Scott, and get you a box of Pink Socks gear that you can gift. We've got hair scrunchies, we've got masks.
I've seen it. You guys are blowing up here, expanding.
Yeah. So
well, I appreciate it, Nick. Thanks so much for your time. And like I said, I look forward to following you in your journey, man.
Yeah, likewise, Scott. Thank you. I'm grateful.
Access to healthcare is one of the largest issues facing both providers and patients, as millions of people worldwide lack timely and affordable access to healthcare. Anywhere Healthcare, a telehealth platform, is a simple, low-cost option for providers and patients that eliminates the barriers to access to all kinds of healthcare. To find out more, check out anywhere.healthcare, which is available in our show notes. And if you use the code HET in all caps when you email to sign up, you'll save 25% off the total cost. Thank you for attending class today, and we hope that you learned something and gained value from the content.
If you'd like to schedule office hours with us, feel free to add us on Twitter at HET Podcast, on Instagram, HET Podcast, on Facebook, the Healthcare Education Transformation Podcast, and the homepage, healthcareeducationtransformationpodcast.com.
And for those of you following along in the syllabus, extra credit can be obtained by liking us, sharing us, and leaving a review.
Let's continue our journey up Mount Educational Success as lifelong learners.